name's Rebecca and I'm the director of the New Writing Showcase.
The New Writing Showcase is a student-led project which concentrates on showcasing the new writing of the past year across the University of Bolton and then partner colleges and organisations.
The writing has been phenomenal.
We've got some great pieces.
Most of them are students at the University of Bolton.
It's been such a privilege to be working with this big bunch of talented writers and actors.
All the actors are amazing because they had their own projects and they agreed to help us in the New Writing Showcase.
I just really hope that everyone enjoys the show on Thursday. I'm kind of nervous and excited for it.
I hope you enjoy that.
I hope that is enjoyable to everyone.
The 17th or 18th or 20th of February 2021. The wind is blowing wildly outside my window right now. I've got a bookshelf overflowing with books I've read, books I love, books I need to read. I've got a James Arthur song on loop. I'm lying on 4 pillows right now. I've got 10 tabs open on my laptop. Work, leisure, curiosity. I left the house yesterday. My next trip might be tomorrow or in a month or more. So COVID's alive, truly thriving. All the scientists, biologists, doctors, government officials all thought they had this thing under control. Little did they know, COVID is an undead soldier. Can't kill something that's already dead, but this bitch is back with weapons, throwing its variants and strains of its poison all over, sharing it with the world. Oh, how gracious of you, Lady Rona. I'm thinking about the Great Depression. What was it that was so depressing? Was it all the deaths, the unemployment, starvation, fear? Frankly, if that is the case, we are so screwed. The entire world is fighting this ghost. And I'm sat here in my bedroom, typing on my laptop. I feel like me when I write, but what is there to write about, apart from shadows of masks and sanitizer? What is there to relate to other than this dull sadness? I've always relied on comedy to make me feel better. Comedy is tragedy plus time. I'm just waiting on time. It's lovely to read modern writing and writing that is something that I feel like I would say, that is the way that people talk, that's honest.
The diary entry was a genuine journal entry that I had written. I liked the way I styled it and stuff, so I thought it was a nice thing to submit.
The moon's almost full. The road a silvered ribbon, a covering of snow. Lights harsh and white, hardened silhouettes etched against the sky. An engine hums, coats the air, gentle as velvet. In the lee of the house, I felt his ghost, ephemeral, rising over hedges, gardens. Imagine, just for once, we could forget who we were, what we are, disperse into a million myriad lights, be a part of all that wonder. The garden gate is bolted. The bins crouch, watching. The still, hard, cold is biting. I suppose it's about one of those moments when you're sort of at the beginning of something. That moment when you stood and you don't know whether you're on the top of a cliff or at the bottom of an abyss. You just hope. I suppose that's what it's about, really. It's about having some hope.
She saw faded rainbows on crinkled paper through barred panes in lockdown care. The care home door, stripped of welcome, said window visits only. His window opened just a crack. Straining her neck, shouting through glass, reaching him with muffled mumble. His fumbling fingers reached. They palmed the window, hand against hand. Soft flesh, smooth glass, almost a touch. His eyes met hers, their faces opened. Their wants flooded the space between, until he simply wanted to brush stray hair from her face. His smell imagined grip, unfelt smears of hand gel contact cut by glass. She blew breathless kisses and walked away from window pane.
I'd been for a care home visit with a friend, which absolutely heart-wrenching.
This one was one of the ones that stuck out to me because of own personal experience.
That's why the poetry is powerful, because it comes from a deep place within yourself where you're connecting to other people.
You know, it was a universal thing of you can't touch people, you can't hug them.
Unless you are able to have a voice, then there's nothing you can do, is there? You just feel frustrated.
I think a lot of people have those things from past relationships or past friendships, hidden away that they don't look at. I'm in my loft, clearing out all the old crap that I've been nostalgically hoarding for the past 10 years. I don't know why I do it. Well, that's a lie. I do. I tell myself that keeping things from my past will stop them turning into futile memories. Memories I will grow to forget. I've always been afraid of looking back on my life and being faced with an expanse of empty nothingness. A hall of mirrors reflecting, well, nothing. Just me staring at my reflection. Kind of like a blackboard with no chalk on it. My whole life up to now exists in this loft. Everything I've been through mangled on top of one another in a non-chronological fashion. Academic achievements and qualifications, trophies and medals from gymnastic competitions I entered at school, photographs, more photographs, a large shell I collected when I was 7, maybe 8, from the beach on one of our annual family holidays, old clothes packed in boxes that make me physically cringe to imagine my teenage self parading around in them. Oh, and surprise, surprise, more photographs. There's one box that terrifies me more than any of the others. I can feel it staring at me now. I just know that opening it will open a place inside me that took years to close. Well, when I say close, it never fully, I don't know. Maybe I could just push it in a far corner and pretend it never existed, turn the memory into a fictional presence. Or maybe I could just quickly grab it and run downstairs and out the front door onto my drive and throw it in the dustbin. God, I need to get a grip. I'm pathetic. It's not like he's thinking about me. He's fine. More than fine. I could bet my life he's moved on. Probably to an emotionally stable woman who isn't freaking out about opening a bloody box. What if he hasn't moved on though? What if he is thinking about me? About us? It's been 2 years. Of course he's not thinking about me. What the hell am I doing? Just get a grip and open it, Katie. What's the worst that could happen? I'm there again, amongst the laughter, the romance, the intimacy, the love, the heartache, the grief. This time, though, instead of fighting against the current, I'm drowning in the memory of us. I allow the water to fill my nostrils and flood my mind. The suitcase stood up beside the door was my initial warning. I assumed, no, I was praying for the reassuring response. I'll be back before you know it, Katie. My heart wasn't prepared for the truth. I'm leaving. For good. I begged for an explanation. Questioned what I had to do to make you change your mind. Your answer was clear. As clear as the water that's refreshing the memory now. You can't do anything. I just don't love you anymore. Then you left. Just like that. Just like that. I definitely wasn't looking for that box today, but I am glad I opened it. It's given me the closure I wish I'd received a long time ago. I realise now that you're just another object of my past, a small line of chalk on my blackboard. I'm not terrified anymore. Perhaps I don't need to clean out my loft at all. No, I'm not going to. Instead, I'll keep nostalgically hoarding until the next time I come up here to reminisce.
I really like, with script writing in particular, the ability you have to develop a character.
There's a really nice journey that goes through it.
Once she's closed the box at the end and she's got that closure on the past relationship, the audience, instead at that point, at the conclusion of the script, can celebrate with her.
I inadvertently intercepted a smile as it passed between strangers on the platform. 3 inches wide and warm as a bun. I wanted to keep it, to bring it home to you. Coyly, I folded and stowed it in my pocket. Flitting and fluttering, it playfully sprang free, leaping from mine to the lips of an old lady carrying flowers. Then onwards through the station, dancing from mouth to mouth, curling lips with abandon like a succulent rumour. Then gone, fading from my mind, until I turned the key to find it had beaten me home, as wide as the town and still warm to the touch. There was a poem from my childhood that I remember by a guy called Jez Alborough, I think, called The Smile. And it talks about how a smile is infectious. And that sort of obviously made that connection between the COVID virus and the smile being infectious, and the idea that, you know, we're kind of missing smiles at the moment, and they're quite precious little things, really. They can change somebody's day just from one person smiling kindly to you on the platform, really.
And I'm running after this bus. I'm in a Packer on these big, massive boots, and I'm chasing this bus down the street. And eventually it stops. I get on the bus and I'm exhausted and panting away. And eventually I reach the bus driver, and he's got this thick Belfast accent. "All right, mucker." I say, "Aye," and ask for a ticket to Millfield. The bus driver hands me the ticket, and under his breath, I hear him say, "Shithole." Now I'm walking down the aisle of this bus, thinking my day couldn't get any worse. I'm sweating my balls off wearing this Parker. I'm already late for class, and to top it off, This bus driver thinks I'm a Protestant.
Ah, don't worry about it, mate. The class was theory-based anyways. You know the way you hold any director you worked with in high prestige?
Yeah.
So, like, in your eyes, they are the Laurence Olivier of directing theatre, a genius of their craft, the cream de la cream.
Well, I think you mean the creme de la creme, but continue.
I see that Kieran McDonough is directing a new play at the Playhouse. I email him to ask if there are any tickets for tonight, and he replies instantly. He's a complete gentleman. He says the tickets will be left at the box office and to collect them 10 minutes before the show. And the show begins at 7:30. So, you know, I'm buzzing. I can't wait to watch a bit of theatre. And even if the show is shite, I'll compliment him. I'll say things like, I think God would have been the only person to direct that better. I mean, you know, theatre, it loves praise. So, fast forward a few hours, and I'm sprinting to the venue. I've forgotten about the show, and it's only for Kieran emailing me again that I remember. And I'm sprinting as fast as I can, and it's uncomfortable. I can feel this giggle from my belly every time I stride forward. And I finally get there and get to my seat. I take off my jacket, and it falls to the floor accidentally. The lights go off in the theatre, and Act 1 begins. I can smell myself, and I stink. I mean, it's like a poisonous odour that filled the theatre space. The actors wince as they deliver the lines. I'm sweating even more as the show continues because I'm embarrassed. So I grab my jacket at the interval, and drops of sweat land on my jeans. I left. I couldn't stay. And as I left, I can see the stewards going into the theatre with air freshener spray. What they really needed was bleach.
That sounds like a disaster. What, did Kieran get in touch with you after the show?
Oh, that's a funny story. So I'm sitting in an audition room, and I'm next to go in. The assistant calls out my name, and I walk in. I look up, and Kieran is sitting there, and I'm thinking, he knows. He fucking knows I left his show early. And I smile nervously, and he says, Andy, so lovely to see you. And I'm thinking, I've got away with this. So I do my monologue, and I've done well. They asked me about my time schedule for the following 2 months, and I believe I'd be great for the part. I've got the part, so I'm buzzing. And as I leave the room, I remember I have a doctor's appointment for one of the rehearsal dates. I turn and explain my situation, and Kieran replies, no sweat.
80% of it was verbatim, and then 20 was my own exaggeration, I'd say, with it.
That's what kind of drew me to the piece, just those kind of that long story section.
It's quite Belfast based in its themes and also the language of it, so I didn't know if it would transition well in regards to the kind of humour that it displays.
But when I read it, I was immediately thought that it was about sisters. The hands that taught us were the same. Long, pale, jutting bones stretching across a whole set of notes, including the sharps. My hands stubs, dancing on the board with strides too small to keep to the waltz. Pa-pa. Your hands glide their way down the keys, narrowly missing the bum notes, catching all the sharps you need without stopping. The hands that taught us were ruthless. Both your hands were pianist size. I was never built for boards. Stubs find strings robust enough for the indents to do no permanent damage. Resin-caked, the bow slips across the strings like elegantly skating across ice. The flips, spins and hand gestures made, transformed into bow movements, fingers on strings, plucking and fiddling. Your hands are no match for mine. You pull a shriek from the curled instrument. And it doesn't say they're sisters, it evokes that they're sisters, and that's what I really love about it. And it's talking about something very specific, not just general rivalry between sisters, but talking about their hands.
My sibling has really big hands and can play a piano. They can play every musical instrument under the sun, and I can only play the violin.
Some time ago, I'd seen a newspaper report where they said that the person had been killed by use of just one punch.
I'm fucking fuming, let me tell you. Banged up in this shitty cell for hours. Just for a bit of a tussle in town centre. Nothing to look at except these 4 fucking walls. All this shite for fuck all. My mum will be doing and not wondering where I am. I might be cock of this town, but she can still put frighteners on me. Drunk or sober. That bitch will batter me senseless when she finds out where I've been. Makes me laugh, she does. Bashes me head in with a great meaty hand and says, "What have I told you about hitting people?" Because I'm always fighting her. Always some fucker. Thinks he can knock me off my perch. Or some stupid bastard who annoys me by way he's looking at me. Take last night. Fathead, Bungalow and me are walking through town having a good laugh when we see these girls. All short skirts and heels. You know what I mean? So anyway, we was giving them our attention. Looking up skirts, touching tips. All that malarkey. And they're screaming and effing and jeffing us. And us laughing our cocks off. When this stupid bloke comes up with his, "Oi, leave them girls alone and fuck off." Only he says it in proper English, don't he? And that really puts me back up. What's it got to do with that posh twat anyway? So I says, "Fuck off yourself." And I give him my scary face. Doesn't make any difference. He just keeps coming. Ignoring Bungalow and Fathead. And then moving aside because they know about me and my fist, don't they? He's so big and slow. And he nearly overbalances when he aims a punch at my head. So I sways out of the way. And when his head come up, I hit him as hard as I could. Thing is, when I hit someone, they know they've been hit because I'm a proper fighter. And I've dished out many a knuckle butty. And I've taken them too. This fella, he goes down dead easy, like a sack of spuds, and then lies motionless on pavement. Wow, I say, turning to me, useless friends. And they're running so fast I can't see them for dust. And that's when I end up here. I had my collar felt, thrown in police van, none too gentle like. I lands up here in this dump, with a few digs off coppers for good measure. So, at last, 3 of them here to release me. What's this copper saying? Under arrest. Murder. It's fucking murder. The fuck you on about? Are you mental? The hospital just died. Hit his head on curb. I only hit him once. I've got a mother that doesn't beat me, but I've got a mother, but if she did behave like that, then I can imagine how traumatic that would be.
I used to work in the steel industry. You meet people who are quite different to what you might be used to. And I remember one chap I used to work with, the guy says, I was cock of my school. And this is something that this particular person used to say to me, that, when I was in year 2, I was cock of the school, even though there were boys 2 years older than me. And he used to tell me about going out, having a drink with his mates on Friday night and getting into fights and things. So I drew some inspiration from him.
Rainbows on windows and clapping on Thursdays, 2-meter spaces and face masks on glum days, getting excited by microwave pings. These are a few of my new lockdown things. Tending allotments and tending allotments, tending allotments and tending allotments, taming some vines with bent wire and strings. These are a few of my new lockdown things. When the bug bites, fills the wards up. When I've had my fill, I simply remember my new lockdown things. And thank God that I'm not ill. Because we've got the allotments, that has been a godsend. If it wasn't for that, I'm in a 2-up, 2-down terrace with a concrete yard at the back, and I wouldn't have got anywhere at all. Wouldn't have gone anywhere, wouldn't have been able to do anything. So even on the coldest of days or the wettest of days, we have a shed we can go and sit and look at the rain falling down.
Children of the Rochdale poor, if they made it to 5, found themselves in the mills, underneath the shop room floor. By Act of Parliament, they went to school in the morning, to the bell and the strap, and worked all afternoon to the foreman's hand. Hooked and bent they worked, underneath the spinning jennies, replacing spools with fingers and thumbs. Skin blistered and bruised, the half-timers disappeared into the gloom. Perhaps if they made it to 21, They could step out of the loom and escape the foreman's cry. Dip 'em in the cistern, and they'd return in time. Not many made it, and those that did were built out of stone and hardy in spirit. They never forgot where they come from, the lads and lasses from Spotland Bridge Mill. The story was very strong, and I could see it in my head as well. I could see the images, and that's what drew me to it.
You can see how happy they look. Yorkshire has a lot of poverty involved, and it's always been a sort of poor town. And it's just the scenery's changed from late Victorian era to present day. And this is what sort of I'm working on a big project to talk about how things change, but they don't change.
Well, I'm sat here in shock. The council are trying to say I'm a racist. Me? Oh, paid them rent for 40 odd years and never missed a week. In fact, I'm livid. You know, the corner shop's owned by coloureds and I spend a fortune there. There's people I know who'd sooner put coffee mate in their tea than buy from coloureds. They want to send them a letter. Well, I've been on the phone to them. I'm still none the wiser. The girl I spoke to, and she sounded about 10, all she could tell me was what's already written in this bleeding letter. I mean, listen to this. Dear Mrs. Jones, it has been yeah, well, we'll miss that. That bit's boring. Yeah, and we would ask that you refrain from aggressive behaviour or risk being in breach of your tenancy. I mean, my gob's still totally smacked. I've only ever knocked on that woman's door once since she's been here. And I smiled when she opened the door. And all I said was, "You speak English?" I mean, well, because you just don't know these days, do you? And as God is my witness, all I said next, and exactly like this, was, "Put your bins out on time or we'll get rats." What's racist about that? It's not like I'm accusing her of eating them. She's not even one of the ones that they say do. Or is that the cat's? Anyway, well, she looks Afrikaner looking anyway. She could be Indian, I suppose. It's hard to tell when they're covered head to toe in those yashnaki things. She could even be a man. I mean, all I want for everyone, including her, is to have a nice, clean neighbourhood. But for some reason, you made you feel ashamed of loving your country over here. I mean, look at the Americans. They have flags everywhere. And they get called patriots. Mind you, I call them patriots. Oh, I can't stand them when they're big gobs. They forget we used to own their country. And don't get me started on how they spell. Oh, they've not heard the last of me. Not Americans, the bloody council. And wait till I see her. Oof. Well, it's very easy. It's lovely dialogue to say. I mean, it flows.
I've met many Doreens in my life, and she's very much based on my nana's best friend, who was slightly racist, but very unaware she was racist.
There's absolutely no way she thinks she's racist. It's very, very beautifully done because it's not overt, it's not obvious in that way.
I can eat most things. I've still got my own teeth. Well, nearly all of them. I wouldn't say I'm picky. Then again, my pickiness as a child was all down to my mother. She must have qualified as the world's worst cook. Mother thought corned beef a delicacy. Her pie crusts weren't just pale, they were positively anemic. Her sponge cakes sagged and her vegetables were watery. No wonder I lived off meat paste sandwiches when I was little. But I digress. I find myself doing a lot of that these days. Think of one thing, and before I know it, I'm back in the 1940s. It was rice pudding that brought it back today. Now, I usually enjoy luncheon club at the community centre. Good food, a natter, and a game of bingo or domino. The first course was fine. You can't beat good old roast beef and Yorkshires. Then Edie pipes up with, "What's for pudding, ladies?" Well, when they said rice pudding, that was it. I was back there in that childhood kitchen with its flag floor and stone sink, and mother pulling her speciality rice pudding from the oven. My first whiff, I would start to eat. And while she laid it ceremoniously on the table and the rest of the family salivated, I would disappear. How ironic that the one thing mother could make a success of was the one thing I hated. I remember at school it was served up regularly with that little blob of jam. Everyone swirling it round until the whole pudding was a nauseous shade of pink. Even worse than when it was in its unadulterated state. And countless times I sat at the table, the rest of the class out at play, while I was crying into the rice pudding and heaving at the same time. And then some nice dinner lady would release me from my torture, probably thinking that if I was sick, then she'd be the poor sod who'd have to clean up the mess. I just about tolerated all those other milk puddings. The frog spawn one and semolina and tapioca, but pudding, never. So I piped up after Edie. Is there an alternative? Don't you like rice pudding, Clarice? Said Ian. He's one of the young volunteers. I thought all you oldies like rice pudding. It slips down easily. No chewing. I thought that was a bit condescending, but I overlooked it because he's a nice lad, really. Well, is there anything else for those of us who might not want rice pudding? I persisted. Well, you're in a minority, Clarice. Everyone else is saying it's their favourite pud. You'll have to make do with a wagon wheel, I'm afraid. A wagon wheel. I ask you, a Jaffa cake may well be a cake, but a wagon wheel definitely isn't a pudding.
Then you weren't allowed to leave the table until you'd eaten everything on your plate. So you could cry into this rice pudding, sort of for 10 minutes, and you'd still have to sit there and try and eat it. My most hated thing.
I don't mind it.
I tend to, when I'm very stressed, albeit this year has not allowed me to, make my way down to the sea somehow or other. And I found last time I went down there, I wrote this poem, and I was just sat down and listening to kind of the waves, and I realized there was a very sort of calming, almost melodic nature to the sea.
There's lapping against the beams, orange with age and waves. They beat tenderly tonight, gentle, eternal. The thrumming of your lullaby, a constant song. The lobster cage keeps me in, safe. But you're out with the waves. You come in, you go out, in and out, in and out. I close my eyes. I listen. And for a brief moment, I hear you. Oh, it's lobster cages, and so, okay, so it's about lobster cages. It's not about that. So the fact that there's so much you can mine and there's so many different ways you can go with the interpretations of the poem, I feel there's a lot of yourself that you can put into it. So that's what I loved about it.
They put my best suit on me, with a tie that Kath had bought me in my last year at work. It was navy blue, matched the pinstripe in my suit. And I'd been retired from factory 5 years when she got the cancer. I'd worked my way up from apprentice paint mixer at 14-year-old to chief fire officer. 51 years. Where did that go, eh? Back to my Kath. By she was a stunner, was my Kath. My Artesian hair back combed to within an inch of its life, surrounded by a mist of silver-green hairspray. I remember her comb, a fake tortoiseshell colour. She'd take it club every Friday and often lend it to a friend, Lorna, while they spent an age gossiping in the ladies. Now it's tucked in my pocket, ready. I noticed my wedding ring was missing. My finger felt bare, lonely. 50 years it's been on my finger. Where was it? I could see a picture. It was all the family together. Oh, look at my girls. We were at the beach, Bridlington. I remember that day well. Arnita nearly drowned. Good swimmer, but bad luck, that one. I felt the stone in my hand. The reason she'd gone so far out that day, we'd been skimming stones and it did 7 bounces. And she said it was a lucky stone. Went swimming out after it. She had a bit of luck that day, though. A bloke was out swimming and got to her on time. Came back limp and blue. Bloke got her breathing again, though. Oh, what an awful day that was. But it was in my pocket now. Smooth, fitted snugly into my palm. Bloody 4 of them we had. All beautiful like the mum. Our youngest, Sandy, she had a halo of fiery red hair. Fiery temper and all that one. I laugh now at a little chubby face with copper curls, pouting and shouting at her mum. All because Nita was getting all the attention one day. When Sandy's hair was long enough, I snipped a curl, kept it in my wallet. I could feel it in my pants pocket now, as always. I could smell carnations. I couldn't see them, but I could smell them. They were my cat's favourite. Big fat red ones and baby's breath. In her bouquet when we got wed. I tell you now, she was a stunner. I could feel our Mary's letter in my breast pocket. She'd been sobbing when she put it there. Now Mary was the only one got to university, became a teacher. Oh, we were proud of all our girls, me and Kath. That was a day and a half, that one. Deirdre put my watch on, but it wasn't ticking. Which was an odd one. I'd always kept me watch in good nick. I was always a stickler for being on time. Taught my girls that too. It was rude to be late. Kath taught them all to tell the time before they went to school. Well, except our Deirdre. One on her own, that lass. Kath put it down to the midwife running her head under cold water after she was born. I think she was right. They all came, me girls. Did I tell you how beautiful they all are? Said lovely things to me, each of them. I did a good job by them, even though I knew nothing about raising girls. And I'll miss them. But Kat's been calling a while now. And I can't be late. She'd have a fit. I'll see thee again, girls, me and the mum. I close my eyes and I see my calf looking bloody gorgeous. Good night. God bless. He's realising that when Kath had passed away 5 years earlier, she also must have sensed what was going on around her.
It's actually about my granddad and his 4 daughters, so my mum's included in there. And stories they used to tell me when I was little. And yeah, it's quite sentimental, but nice as well, because I remember all those stories. So some I've embellished on some of them, obviously, as we do as creatives, but yeah.
As I walked up the barely lit street, barely saying one word, the cold night air devoured our bodies, our cold breath intertwined. I had one last glance at the village, the place I had spent my childhood. The final chapter was approaching. We both knew, but too embarrassed to say. As I slowly walked to bed, step by step, moment by moment, keeping the video recording, a video I would watch over and over. As I reached the top step, I heard her voice crack. Good night, and love you. Never wanting time to move on. Never the same again. It feels to me it's about being homesick, about moving away from home for the first time and reflecting on that.
It was kind of like me missing home, and kind of depicted that of me remembering the last time whenever I left home to go to Bolton. So that was quite interesting.
No matter how many times I run my fingers over the arm of your chair, they're not there. I'm sure that's where you left them. It's where your keys belong. The car whispers from the driveway mischievously like you used to. Come on, let's go out for the day. But I can't. So I'll walk the long way down to our bench, refresh the flowers, and natter for hours with a seagull until today disappears, momentarily forgetting it's already been 5 years. It's really weird. You sort of compare the nation's reaction to sort of terror events where, you know, sadly dozens of people die in certain circumstances and there's massive outpourings, and then one day thousands of people die from this virus, and it's what people sort of seem to be forgetting, really, or that loss seemed to be getting diluted a little bit. And one day I couldn't find my car keys, and the idea of that loss was sort of felt resonant to the grander sort of loss in some respects, and sort of I wanted to try and marry the two.
So it's like a bit of a juggle, isn't it? People thinking, well, which one do I want? Do I want to have nobody and feel alone, or do I want to take a chance of dying from this and tackling this snake that, you know, could be squeezing up my lungs, kind of thing?
Everyone's turned into a leper, afraid to touch, afraid to get too close. So many hidden faces walking by. The space feels unnerving, akin to an old empty house. At a time when you want to reach out, you must pull away, you must stay away. We are at war. It lurks, hidden in the darkness. If you are complacent, it strikes. Like a boa constrictor, it squeezes. So tight you can feel it crushing your lungs. It slithers from person to person. squeezing and draining them. Some people can't decide which is worse, the space or the snake.
Because so many people were struggling to breathe, obviously it's reminded me of a snake kind of squeezing your lungs, because they've not been able to actually, the lungs have been shutting down, and that's been the main thing with the COVID.
There's a dead body in the back of my car. Let me just start by saying I'm actually a really nice person. I give to charity, volunteer at care homes. I'm bloody kind to everyone. I don't speak back to my parents or boss, who's a giant prick, by the way. You know, all in all, I'm a genuinely good person. With that being said, this situation I currently find myself in isn't one you should base my character off of. It just wouldn't be fair. I was driving home and the sat-nav made a new route, and I wanted not taken before, and it looked to be quicker, and I thought, well, why not? It's getting dark. The roads were empty of cars, and I saw a woman and a man talking on the side of the road while I was driving. I slowed down, thinking they needed help, when the man leaped onto the woman, and there was blood, and she was on the ground, and he moved his hands to her neck, and I pressed my horn. I don't know why. It seemed like a safest option. And the man stumbled back when he saw me, and he hit the ground hard. I waited, and then when neither moved, I got out of the car. It took a second, but the woman got up, and I helped her. And I went back to my car to get my phone to call the police when her scream stopped me. All I heard was, "Dead!" over and over again. Now, you might be asking, why didn't you call the police after that? And I truly would have, had the man on the ground not been David Lee O'Brien. You know, the soon-to-be Prime Minister. Oh, and the woman he was attacking, his wife. I mean, I would have gladly done the time if I did anything wrong, that was. But this guy, him, I mean, who in their right mind is going to believe I'm innocent? I mean, his wife probably gets a get-out-of-jail-free card, plus he's about to become Prime Minister. Well, he was going to be. Surely this is treason or something? I mean, they'll probably take me off to a foreign country and chop me up into little pieces. See, once I've explained it, the story's not that bad. I don't really know where I'm going, but his body's in the back of my car and his wife's in my passenger seat. She's alive, in case that wasn't clear. And this was her idea. Get him in the car. The longer we're here, the worse off we are. Okay, in hindsight, I mean, why should I believe her? To tell you the truth, it was her voice. So bloody soothing. It calmed the shit out of me. Plus, she sounds like she knows what she's doing, and I don't. Be fair to myself, I did stop to think, when did we become a we? Anyway, there's a dead body in the back of my car. I first read the piece and I was like, I found there was a nice little touch of humor in it.
I typically go for humor, but I hate dark or horror or anything like that. But I like the way these pieces came out. I was speaking to a friend of mine who's constantly optimistic and like very happy, and I was telling her like there's nothing that would faze you. Like if you killed someone, you'd react in the most positive way. So when I was writing that, I was thinking about her and like how she would react.
What's your name? I'm Jessie, by the way.
James. Ellie. James. I prefer James.
James. Jesse James.
Oh yeah, like the outlaw.
No. No, I was thinking more Team Rocket.
Who?
You don't know who Team Rocket are?
Are they some kind of K-pop band?
Jesus H. Christ.
Did you know that there's 81,500 calories in the human body?
That's incredible. Why are all cannibals so slim then?
You know what? I didn't even think about that. Maybe cannibalism can be classed as a fad diet.
Perhaps it's better than keto.
Do you ever feel like you've settled?
All the time.
Like you stood outside at midnight trying not to cry and trying not to crave a cig.
Even though you gave up 6 months ago and was doing so well.
And you can't even see the stars anymore because everything's just smog.
I feel like I need to scream, but I'm worried that I won't be able to stop.
Because one scream just isn't enough to relieve the anger that's pent up inside of you.
I have this really unrealistic view of the world.
Let me guess. You want to be pretty and skinny and likeable and mentally stable too.
Yeah. And I'm just not, and I never will be. That person doesn't exist, but she's so fucking idyllic, and why can't she exist?
She can't exist because that's not the kind of shit that Emily Davison died for. Women didn't chain themselves to fences so that insecure twats like us could wank over celebs that wouldn't even look twice at us.
So bloody tedious. You know what? I like you.
I like you too. So
what are we waiting for?
Nothing.
It's like a mixture of Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, the play, and Before Sunrise by Richard Linklater. He does a lot of films on like the concept of human connection, you know, like meeting with strangers and the kind of bonds that are built instantly, if that makes sense.
And first time I've cried real tears while doing a performance.
I feel like there's a lot of topics in this piece that are taboo still, and I think that we still need to talk about feelings and mental health, and life isn't always like you see on Instagram.
This incident that had occurred to me once when I was in a tennis club in Spain, and that's what prompted me to write it, because I wanted to put the northern kind of humour into it if I possibly could. Yeah.
Sunlight glints on a spinning coin as the umpire listens for the call. Up, I respond. Up, he mimics with a grin and tells me how he loves my northern accent. Ooh, I smile benignly, inwardly seething, masking the anger this patronising fellow's insensitive mockery has stoked. Yet I feel denigrated, inferior, besmirched. Why? We are all level in silence. In the coffee break, I remark on an incident in the tennis game. With a condescending smile, a player tells me that I really do have a strong accent. I flood with indignation and reply that to me, it's her that has the accent. Oh, she looks startled, then admits she hadn't thought of it like that. Returning to my northern roots, I wallow in non-judgmental preserves, where words with clogs on clatter comfortably across the cobbles. I walk through ginnels and go up a brew, side the table and eat butties, flatten me A's, drop me H's, all in my own familiar environs. I can laugh at how my supercilious tennis friends fail to see the humour in putting big lights on. It's a northern thing. By gum, eh? When I first went to London from Liverpool, I did, the flat A's and the flat vowels were odd to me. It was the first time I ever heard a southern A's and, non-flat vowels. And that was very odd. And I had a bit of mockery there from a few students when I was down there, known as the Lancashire lass sort of attitude,
If you knew someone who you loved did something as bad as that, how long would it be until you decide to cut them out of your life? How long would it be until you say, I want nothing to do with you anymore?
Louise.
What happened to all the pictures?
I took them down.
When?
The moment I found out. Tea? Coffee? I have this new coffee machine. It does all the real fancy stuff. Right. Okay. We can't ignore this for much longer, Louise. We have to face it. I can't imagine what you're going through. I really can't, but I'm struggling too.
You have no idea what it's like to wake up every morning and have to face the fact you will never see your son again. No fucking idea. But you will. One of these days, Jacob will be released and there you will be. The loving mother who never leaves her son's side, with open arms.
Is that what you think?
That's what I know. You were beside him the entire time in court, defending him like he was some sort of angel.
Because he's my son. I didn't know the truth. He told me he was innocent.
He told you, did he? Because Jacob never fucking lies, does he? No, he didn't lie about that stolen car. He didn't lie about the missing £200. But you believed him when it came to killing my son.
Do you think I'm proud, Louise? Do you really think that the thought of having a son capable of that makes me happy?
Do you visit him?
No, of course.
Fucking liar!
Louise.
I know for a fact you've been to the prison multiple times. People talk about you, you know. Everyone in the area. They tell me at work how easily you've continued with your life, how you get the bus to prison every month. And you sit there and you tell me this bullshit. Seriously? Nancy, what were you anticipating happening? Inviting me here, That I would come and tell you that I forgive you? After all the pain you've caused me? Forgive you for creating a monster that killed my son?
I just thought we could talk. You can't blame me for something my son did. I just want my friend back.
I just want my son back.
I think a lot of times when it comes to sort of murders and stuff, you always look at the victim's family and sort of like what they go through and like the trauma they go through. But I also want to explore the sort of trauma that the family of the killer goes through as well. Like, so yeah, it's just sort of where that script sort of came from.
Was it elegant? Sophisticated? The very heights of fashion and chic, with up-to-the-minute styling and catwalk province? No. It was a teddy bear coat, purchased nonetheless from that doyen of 40s fashion, Mabel Bannister, purveyor of gowns and outerwear, Market Street, West Houghton. That coat was my childhood refuge from the cold, a comforter when sick, and later, a dressing up staple. It was cuddly, thick, and brown. It bore no resemblance to real fur with that soft and silky feel. No, this was fake fur through and through. But oh, so warm and comforting and safe. It was what was termed in those days a swagger coat, with a loose feel and without fastenings of any sort. Waiting at the tram stop on a bitter cold winter's evening, my mother would open up its folds and I would snuggle in and she would fold the coat around me. So snug and warm and safe. Ill in bed, I would beg her to put the teddy bear coat over me, and it was a comfort blanket to snuggle and fondle and stroke. As I grew older and the teddy bear coat was superseded by houndstooth check in black and white, again from Mabel Bannister, it became a wonderful dressing up item. I would sweep around the bedroom, clutching it from the floor as I became Ava Gardner or Doris Day. Or I would spread it on the floor and it would be a magic carpet or a desert island. It fueled my imagination, that teddy bear coat. I can see it now, stroke it now, lay my cheek against it, plunge my fingers into its soft depths and smell my mother's perfume. Evening in Paris, Woolworths, 1949.
Got a pretty good memory for, past events, even though I might be in my dotage. 77, I can still remember, all of my childhood and growing up. And
the way I kind of was thinking of the piece when I read it, to kind of get over that hurdle, because obviously I'm not 70 years old, was, and if she's like recently lost a mother and, it's not like a long time ago she's reminiscing, it's kind of recent, but kind of setting it in maybe the 80s.
And when the tide fell back, I would search the beach for jewels left by the cold North Sea. Left for me was a clamshell, fortress strong and hand-sized. Salt gritted her back and green wrinkles aged her hollow belly. But cleaned, the pea-green puzzles remain now, with sooty scars from crushed-out smudging sticks tied tightly with intention, made to cast away the unseen bleakness that always stalks the living.
I think perhaps the ones that come easily are the better ones sometimes. Started from something I'd read about, I can't even remember what it was in, but the seaweed being cleaned off but leaving like a crackle glaze effect on something.
I got the idea for the story from watching a film called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot, which isn't a brilliant film, but I decided that I wanted to do something along them lines.
I've been here for about 6 hours. Well, it feels like that. It's probably more like 10 minutes. I'm just trying to get the right angle. All I need is for that guy there. No, not you. Yeah, you. You in the a Primark shirt. Yeah, just duck down a bit, will you? Okay, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that'll do. He's just moved again. Oh, God. What an ugly audience we've got tonight. I can say that because I've got the gun. Anyway, where has he gone? I'm sorry, madam. You could have made more of an effort. Could you just move a little to the left? No, not that left. Yeah, thanks. That's better. Yeah, I've got him in my sights now. Maybe lean a little more, madam. Thanks. Stand up again, you arse! No, not you. Sorry. Right, I can see him. Quiet, please. Quiet. I need to concentrate. Deep breath. He's moved again. Oh, fucking, I mean, Hitler, he can live a little longer. I mean, one man, what harm can he do? Anyway, I suppose you're wondering what you're doing here with me. You've travelled through space and time to be with me here behind enemy lines in Germany, and it's 1939. It's 2 weeks before Christmas. And if you hadn't moved, I'd be on my way home now. I'll let you off, because I know I'm going to get another shot again at him soon. So, I was on holiday in Ibiza when I got a telegram. Please travel to Germany to assassinate one Adolf Hitler. If convenient. If not convenient, go there anyway. I mean, what a cheek. I was on bloody holiday. I'm going to speak to my union rep about this. So, caught the next train. Well, that was a problem when we got to the sea, but we managed it. And I got here as quickly as I could. My biggest problem is that my rifle's in Bury. I mean, I tried to get one on the way here, but for some reason, all the gun shops had sold out. Yeah. But luckily, there was a Toys R Us near the train station. And I managed to get this. Well, to be honest, I can't kill him with this. It's full of whiskey. I mean, it's great to lift the spirits, but... So, if any of you have got a gun, go ahead and use it. I won't stop you. But if you see a gun shop, then I'd like to get something better than this. Hello, good sir. You wouldn't happen to have a rifle for sale, would you? Is that all you've got? Well, I was hoping for something different, but I guess if that's all there is, how much do you want for it? I'm afraid I don't have much. Just been to Ibiza. Oh, well, I've got a gun. He seemed like a nice fella. Happy days. Oh, text. Sorry. Oh, new intel. That means intellectual news, by the way. Just talk amongst yourselves for a bit. This text message, it's from my mole. Yeah. He's as blind as a bat, but he's very good at keeping under the radar. And he's heard Hitler and Hess, yeah, talking, and Hitler's going to come here tonight to try and find his glasses. Has anyone seen them? No? Oh, okay. Well, I've got an identical pair here. Looks like we're all set. Oh, has anyone got a charger for an old iPhone? I mean, if you think they're bad now, you ought to try one of these from the 1930s. Right. God, this is taking too long. We're going to have to travel into the future. Hold on. You thought something was going to happen, didn't you? Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to use your imagination. We're only going 24 hours into the future. Hello? Yeah, I'm Sergeant Royd. Yeah. What about my daughter? What's she done now? Oh, fuck. Put her on the phone, will you? Sorry about this, kids. Who'd have them? Emma, what do you think you're doing? Well, why take it to school with you? I might have to borrow that. Of course I'll clean it afterwards. And before, for that matter. Right. Well, put your head teacher back on. I'm really sorry about this. Shouldn't take too long now. Mrs. Dumbledore. Oh, sorry to hear about your late husband. He was a great man. Yeah, you heard Emma's side of the conversation. Well, it's purely for self-defense. Well, he won't touch her again, will he? We're in a war that could potentially kill roughly 50 million people. I think it's totally acceptable to have or to take whatever measures you can to defend yourself in times like these. Yeah, I promise I'll speak to her. Yeah, I'll speak to her about it. I'm really sorry about that. Apparently, my daughter's taken a gun to school and killed a boy. Anyway, where were we? There was a lot of stage directions in the original piece.
The actual character's probably based on my history of watching the comedy of the 80s and 90s.
I hope he felt that we'd respected his work and adapted it with thought and consideration and tried our very best to retain the heart of the piece.
It's something that's so kind of you see all the time but don't actually appreciate what it is. A spider's puzzle greets me this morning. An intricate motorway system of silk. A hard night of graft. A trophy of glory. A pebble-cracked mosaic hung on the line. A beautifully stitched sample of threads announcing the light, wearing the first dew it caught from the day. A jigsaw of space, a maze from above, a labyrinth hard, a doodle of strength, a crochet of snares, a tapestry tale of rich woven cord, a tight knitted lie, a dark knotted spell. Graffiti distorting the September blue. A widow's black shawl made from the bones of lovers she's tired of, but can't throw away.
Spider's Puzzle is mentioned in The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I remember reading that and thinking, wow, I love Spider's Puzzle. She hadn't explained what a Spider's Puzzle is because you don't need to, it's obvious what one is. And I kind of logged it in my head and thinking, I will use that at some point.
Well, I thought it'd be a challenge for me, in all honesty, just to be able to read it and give it the kind of life that it deserves, I guess.
I strain to lift my neck. Bones creak. The pavement is the view I see. Chewing gum stuck forever. Crisp packets skidding along, bound for who knows where. I edge along the rough part. I hear the skip of a child. Gripping my stick, I brace myself to look up. "Kerry!" I hear her mother shout. "Careful!" "Careful," sings Kerry as she dances past, now holding her mother's hand. "Don't step on the cracks or the monsters will get you." I raise my eyebrows. "Wait till you get to the alligator skin, Miss Nimbletoes," I think. But they've gone before my thoughts turn to words. The miniature pavement gardens in this street are my secret summer joy. Willow herb, with wispy seeds and delicate pink petals, uses the gap between the brick and concrete. Dandelions push up tarmac round their base, strong, resilient, free to be where the wind takes them. Mossy cushion survives in a hollow where the damp collects. Its green velvet fit for a fairy prince. And crazily paved patches are colonised with shepherd's purse, lady's mantle, and tiny blue forget-me-nots. And a breeze bobs the head of the wild poppies. Ferns adorn the garden walls, their patterns like ballroom curtains. Herb Robert, a tiny geranium with lacy leaves, they look up at me from their niche. Each plant is covered in a fur of fine hairs like unshaved stubble, and each flower has 5 tiny pink petals, reminding me of a time I painted my fingernails to impress Robert, the shy shepherd's boy of dances long ago. I forget him not. My faltering steps take me to the park bench beneath a cherry tree. Sighing softly, I release my stiff hand from its grip on the stick and I settle. I'm lulled by the play of shadows and the distant hum of traffic. A dog comes to sniff at my feet. Magpies squabble, then take to the trees on clumsy wings. A child's laughter is carried on the wind. I recognise Kerry in the distance. Head bent in concentration, following in her mother's steps. In that moment, I know she shares my secret love of pavement crack gardens. She is another lover of weeds. As they draw nearer, I see Kerry pick a dandelion. She puts its golden flower to her cheek, and I feel the stroking softness. Her mother puts her shopping down. "Come on," she urges. "Keep up." Kerry runs ahead, then she darts to one side, picking a dandelion clock, holding its globe up to the sun. She blows. Tiny parachutes float from her breath on the breeze. they reach me like a kiss. I focus on what it's like when you're physically start to not be as active as you were, and how that feels, and how you can't imagine it when you're younger. But you watch your parents or your relatives get older. So that's my way in. I kind of go for that place in myself that's slightly apprehensive about it. I love the way she's been so specific with the flowers and the things. I had to some of the flowers I knew, but I had to go look up pictures of each of the individual, lady's mantle and shepherd's purses, because the writer, has obviously imagined it so vividly. I thought, well, I better do that.
I've chosen to do this poem because it reminds me of holidays down in Cornwall and Devon, where you get up early, head down to the beach or over some cliffs, and you just look out into the empty open space and enjoy the air, the sea, the sounds, stripped bare, grit between my toes. I caress the granite bones beneath me. As I follow the slope down, I see her, the sea's battered wife, bearing herself to me. Whipped seaweed locks, lashed across one shoulder, an invitation, as if to say, hold me. I palm the stone, run my fingers down the notches, and savor the damp kiss of high tide.
I think I looked back on those kind of family trips and I just sort of wanted to write about those rocks, and in the very long and tenuous editing process somehow ended up with something a bit more kind of humanized. I was thinking there was a very big rock, a very, very big rock down on the coast I used to go see as a kid every so often.
Let's have sex tonight.
What?
Yeah. Like we used to.
When?
When we were younger.
That's quite a while ago, dear. You're going to have to narrow it down a bit.
When we were courting.
Courting?
Yeah. When you were living down Farley Road with your mum and dad.
Oh, you mean when you used to sneak into my room by the drain pipe?
Yeah. Then.
You were a lot more supple in those days, dear.
And then some. Although there was that time.
Which time?
When the bolts gave way and I fell in the hedge.
Oh, yeah. The cat got the fright of its life and ran off.
Yeah, and your dad came out with a shovel because he thought I was a burglar.
But you ran off.
Of course. Oh, your dad would have given me a good hiding.
And then when you did come round the next day after school, Mum fussed over you so.
Yeah. I like your mum. Well, she was a bit quick with the TCP on the scratches from that damn hedge.
And you cried.
I did not.
You did so.
I had dust in my eyes.
Right.
And then your mum made me tea and toast.
Yeah. She made a good cuppa.
How did we get onto this again?
You were asking me if I wanted tea and toast.
Was I?
Yeah. And the answer is yes to both, dear.
Oh. Okay. Be right back.
I remember some of the sitcoms in the 70s and the 80s, and so you get things like Terry and June and
and Georgia Mildred and that kind of thing, and the way that they've got a dynamic that bounce off each other.
I think it's the sweetness of old age. It's a nice indication of a long relationship, isn't it? Where you have a deep understanding of you can almost read each other's minds.
When you run out of trying to build relationships with things in life and you constantly feel let down, you reach out, don't you? And I like the reaching out of this. Angel of the North, you stand awake. Iconic guardian, I have travelled the breadth of England to look up to you, reaching your steel wings above Gateshead's mines and factories. Forged from metals, gouged from earth, heated, melted, formed, cooled in Siberian winds where ice melts. You look down, balanced, static, still on endless A1 traffic, moving freely, frantic, with Western addiction to endless destructive growth. We know ancient Eastern tales of your kind. An angel foretelling a birth, a proclamation, peace on earth, a warning given in Joseph's dream, danger, murder, flee, protect. Your stand is silent like the cross, your beam rooted in solid ground, steel girdered, nailed in place, open-winged, a wide embrace. Symbol of suffering strength, you crown a tended hill. You lift my eyes to skies where seagulls fly, swinging on air currents, glorying in life's immensity, taking me beyond the place where sea and city meet, to ancient folded hills and Hadrian's barricades, from fishing waters borderless to oil-rich beds of shale. I sense them skimming high, knowing nothing, loving life in each glorious, rich moment, wild, pure, free. Their cries from on high echoes the wind in your outstretched wings. Here, no feather pillow allowed, no peace and complicity, no rest and complacency. Stillness comes with grief. Movement brings relief.
The piece started with the theme of angels before Christmas. My son lived in Newcastle at one stage, so yeah, I have seen the Angel of the North, and obviously it's an iconic image. And just the way it's stretched out and the way it's made of metal, you know, gouged from the earth, etc. And quite often in my writing, the theme of climate comes out.
And I like that it talks about the North because it takes me home a little bit.
We are just so grateful and thankful for this experience.
It was a great thing to do. It's just been a brilliant experience, and I've learned a lot that I feel like I can take to my postgraduate employment.
It's definitely been really fun, and I'd recommend anybody to give it a try.
It was a privilege to work with all the actors.
When I see Ben, he needs a big thanks.
All good things to say about Rebecca.
It's been amazing watching our student director grow.
And it was amazing to watch that, and you know, it is amazing, and her determination is woo.
She has included myself and Maria as producers in her directing process. You know, I think that relationship will be there in the future.
Now I've got so much more confidence, and I've had such positive feedback. We have got our studies, but it's also given me the thing of how to manage stress and how to manage my workload and how to prioritize things in the long run probably helped me massively.
A big thank you to all the writers who submitted their work. A big thank you to all the actors involved in the showcase. A big thank you to the new writing showcase team, and a huge thank you to David Tucker for helping us. and believing in us.
Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to watch the showcase as well. We really hope that you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I'm Faith and I'm part of the editorial team at the Bolton Review, the university's creative arts journal. First, I just want to say congratulations to the new writing showcase on another outstanding run this year. The Bolton Review is a student-led literary and creative arts journal founded in 2014 and has been edited each year entirely by students. As well as being archived by the British Library, the Bolton Review has gathered an international readership with copies being sold all over the world. Issue 9, however, is the first issue to have widened its call for submissions to include not only those with connection to the university, but to anyone who lives or works within Bolton. Each piece you hear showcased by us today is either going to be included in the upcoming issue, Issue 9, or has been selected from our previous issue, Issue 8, which is still being sold. If you like what you hear, then we encourage you to pick up Issue 9 of the Bolton Review when it officially launches next week on Wednesday, May the 5th. Thank you for watching. We'd like to invite everybody here to join us for the launch of Issue 9 on Wednesday evening, the 5th of May. For further details of how to join us, please go over to our Twitter and Instagram, where we will have posters and information available. Don't forget that you do need to sign up for the Zoom call in advance before May the 5th. In the meantime, Issue 8 is still available for purchase by emailing us. Once again, thank you all very much. We hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you soon at our launch. Take care.